Hey guys, this is Jacob with Jakovich TCG, back with another video. Today I'm just going to talk about a video that I watched and a possible market strategy for my business. Seems like things like this come up a lot. I'm always having new ideas and things I want to talk through, so I figured I'd use YouTube as like a sounding board of, hey, this is an idea I have for my business. What do you guys think? Is it good or not? Let me know what you think, and maybe eventually I'll settle on something. But to start out with, I was going to show you guys these. My wife went to Walmart yesterday and she actually picked these up for me. So I was going to ask, has anybody else been able to get a hold of any of these? And I guess there's multiple covers that you can collect. So on the inside here, it shows the possibilities of all the different covers that are available. And it's like, collect them all. So is anybody doing this? Has anybody been seeing these? I remember when they first came out, I looked for them and I wasn't able to find them ever, but my wife was actually able to find a couple. So we'll see. Maybe I'll collect them. So far, I have 2. So let me know in the comments below if you've seen these, if you're collecting them, if you think they're cool. I think it's an interesting idea to celebrate like the 30th anniversary, you know, make a magazine with different covers and stuff. Oh yeah, it says it right on the front. I didn't even see that at first. It's right here. Collect all the covers. Also, we'll see if the text in this video is backwards because I'm filming it on my phone facing this way so I can see. And I don't know if that inverses the text or not. Anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll see. I'm still figuring out this whole filming thing, YouTube stuff, so we'll see how it goes. The inspiration for today's video is yesterday I watched a video by Check the Box. He's a YouTuber who does species collecting videos. I've really enjoyed his videos. I've gone through a lot of phases in my collecting. It's one thing that he talks about. There's different types of collectors. There's pack rippers, and there's species collectors, and there's master setters, and you know, like lots of different ways to collect Pokemon cards. And he kind of does pros and cons and tries to convince you of one way or the other, which was interesting. So you should go watch his video. I'll have it linked. It's been interesting to watch his channel because he does the species collecting videos where he'll make a video showing every card for a specific species. So he'll do like Squirtle and he'll show every single card in a binder of Squirtle, all the different variants and all the different editions and the holos and the reverse holos and the first edition and shadowless and all the different things. And he has he prints out proxy cards, which if you don't know what those are basically just you print out a picture of a Pokemon card, but it's not a real card, you know, it's just a picture, and he uses those as placeholders to say which ones go in which spot. And the binders look really nice. He like shows the different cards and puts them in and talks about each card as he goes. And anyway, his videos are really good. I really enjoy them. But at one point, I was kind of being a species collector. I started out trying to collect all the cool cards. Anything cool or interesting that I liked, I wanted to keep it. And my wife started collecting as well, and so then we started having an issue of, well, I want to keep this card because it's cute or cool, but she also wants to keep this card because it's cute or cool. Do we each have our own copy of it? Do we share a copy? How does that work? If we share a copy, do we just put all of our stuff in one binder, or like one group of binders, or do we each have our own, and these ones are mine and those ones are hers? And we've gone back and forth, and I've kind of struggled with that quite a bit. So as part of that, at one point, I was like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna do master sets. I'm gonna master set 151. I'll talk about that probably in another video, but I got pretty far in that one and finally ended up just giving up on it just because it wasn't as fun as I thought it would be, and getting packs is hard and they're expensive and whatever. Anyway, I'll probably talk about that in another video. But then I was having a hard time of which cards to keep, what's cute, what's cool, why do I want to keep it? And so I decided on like my top 5 or 10 Pokemon that I liked, and I was essentially just species collecting those Pokemon. So, you know, anytime I saw a Scyther or a Electabuzz or a Diglett or an Onix, I'd keep those, and so I'd put them in my binder. And I didn't do it the way that he does it, where he has like a list and like sets up a goal of like, okay, these are all the different variants that I want to collect, these are all the different versions, this is what it looks like, you know, and then he works towards that goal. I was just, anytime I saw one of them, I would add one. And one thing that I think it was interesting in his video is he talked about the different ways that you can do it. You can have different levels, I think he calls it, of collecting. You know, you can do one of each illustration, you know, because sometimes they reuse the picture in different cards for different sets. So you can use one of each illustration and just collect one of each and then consider that done. You can do one of each printing of the card, but not the different variants. You can do one of each card and all their different variants. And if you get super crazy, then you can do like error prints and things like that. And then in this video, he actually partnered with Ian, which I'll link to his channel as well. He works with Deep Pocket Monster and is in a lot of his videos, but he's working on a collect every Jolteon ever challenge. And as a result of that, he like talked to him about his experience and what he's doing, and that was interesting to see his side of things. But Ian has decided he's collecting every Jolteon ever, including every language. And so that's one thing that Check the Box doesn't really talk about, is different languages. He's just collecting English, all the different variants for English. And I've been interested in different language cards. I have English and some Chinese and some Japanese cards. I also watched a YouTuber who sells from Switzerland. I'll have him linked as well. We'll have all the links in this video. We'll see if I can figure out how to link. I wanted to support him, and so I ordered some cards from him, and I thought it was cool that he had like German cards of my favorite Pokemon, and so I ordered some of those. So I have like a German Diglett and German Onyx, and a couple of those that I ordered from him. And that was really interesting. And then I also, when I was buying a collection at one point, I stumbled across some Spanish cards, and that was kind of interesting, and I didn't really know where they came from or why or whatever. But in the video that Check the Box and Ian were talking about, he mentions how hard it is to even know what different language cards exist. I guess there's not a lot of like information. There's not like one source of truth of a database or whatever that says these are all the different cards that were printed in all the different languages and all the different Pokemon and all the different variants. And so I guess a lot of the struggle is doing the research to figure out what cards are available, what was printed in what languages. And that kind of piqued my interest because I feel like that's a problem that could be solved, right? Like somebody could take time to do the research, to find the sources, to figure out what cards were printed in what languages and what sets. And I mean, maybe something like this already exists, but if it does, it's not super well known about, I guess. Or it sounded like there was a few resources, but they weren't super accurate. So it seems like that's maybe a problem that could be solved, is collecting all the information of which sets exist in which languages and which variants and printings exist, and kind of like a master database of all the different languages of Pokemon cards. Because I feel like there's a lot of people or places that know like all the different stuff for English or for Japanese, but like all the other ones, it seems like they're a lot more fuzzy. And maybe we just don't know about them because maybe they're in other languages or in the places where those cards, other regions where they come out. I don't know. So that was something I was thinking about doing some more research on, trying to see if there is actually a database. Is that something like Pokemon publishes somewhere that you can collect and organize into a database or something? Or is it something that you really have to just like do research and contact people in the regions where those languages were distributed and see? And anyway, so I was thinking that I might do some research into that and see how hard it is to actually curate a list of what cards were printed in what languages, so that you can make it easier for people who are trying to do species collecting who want to include languages. So that was one thought. And then the other thought that I had from that video was, he talks about how hard it is to find those cards. So say he figures out, yeah, sure, they have a French and they have a Korean and a Thai Jolteon from these sets or whatever. The next hard part is, how do you get those cards? There's not a lot of people that sell different language cards in the US. I mean, there's people that sell Japanese and some Chinese and even like some Korean or Thai here and there, like Pokémon, he'll do, some of those other Asian languages a little bit. But there's not a lot of people that sell like all of the languages or lots of different languages, like it's hard to find somebody that sells Spanish this or French that or German this. And so he mentioned that he had to buy a lot of stuff on eBay, and he's still trying to find a lot of stuff. He said it's really hard with tariffs because you have to pay somebody who has it wherever it was first released in that region to then ship it to you, and that's expensive. and he talked about he ended up actually going on a trip to Europe, I think he said, and he was able to pick up some of the French and Italian cards and stuff while he was there. But that's not realistic. A lot of people can't make trips to different countries or different places to pick up Pokemon cards. Like, that would be cool, but it's not realistic for most people. And so that was another thought that I had is that maybe a niche of the Pokemon card market that isn't filled as much. You know, that's one thing that Brian Pokiani talks about is when he first started selling, he sold Japanese cards, and that wasn't really a big thing then. And so he kind of like filled that niche and helped people be able to get Japanese cards where it was harder to get them at the time. You know, it was a similar thing. If you wanted Japanese cards, you had to pay somebody in Japan to get them and ship them over and whatever. Like, it was a whole pain. And so he did the hard work and made them available for people in the United States where they could get them faster, and he took the risk of, you know, vetting suppliers and all that stuff. And so I'm wondering if that might be a niche of the business or of the hobby that is like a problem that needs to be solved. Do people want to species collect specific Pokemon or collect Pokemon cards in specific languages that are hard to get? And if they do, is that something that someone could provide? And would that be useful? You know, would it be helpful if there was somebody who sold Pokemon cards of all the different languages? You know, they bought bulk and singles and collections from all over the world or all over wherever the languages were released and sold them in all different languages. You know, could they be the go-to, oh, you're looking for a specific card in a specific language, go to so-and-so? Is that a thing? So let me know in the comments below, do you collect cards in different languages? Do you only collect English? Do you collect English and Japanese? When I first started out, I only did English, mostly because I didn't really know about the other languages. And I had a really hard time wondering why I would want a card that I couldn't read, because if you don't know the language, you can't really read it, so what was the point? But I feel like the more you're in the hobby and the longer you're in the hobby and the more collecting and things you do, the more like you want the rare, the niche things. That's like the longer you're in the hobby, the more you want like the unique stuff. And so I feel like maybe that's more of that market would be people who've been in the hobby for longer, who've been collecting longer. You know, they've already done most of the basic stuff that's easy to collect, and they start trying to get into like the harder things, you know, the high graded, you know, PSA 10 cards of the ones you like, or the promo cards that are more rare, or the specific stamp cards, or maybe specific language cards. So let me know in the comments below if you guys collect different languages, if you only collect English, if you only collect Japanese, if you'd be interested in something like that, if you think that this is like a viable business plan, you know, of doing the work of figuring out how to find like suppliers of different languages and make them available, and, you know, doing all the hard work of getting the cards here and then being able to sell them to people and kind of filling that niche of, oh yeah, you're trying to collect all the Snorlaxes ever. Great. Did you know that there's a French one and there's 2 Italian ones and whatever, and they're available here, and you can buy them and whatever. And there's like more stuff that could go into that, you know, like working on making set lists of like, here's the species list for this Pokemon, including all languages and all variants and all whatever. And again, maybe stuff like this already exists. Maybe there's already a seller that's doing this. Maybe there's some and you can like piece it together. I haven't done a lot of research yet, so I'm going to be doing some more research into that and try and figure out if it's viable, if it makes sense, if it would be interesting. I'm going to try and see if I can figure out how many people do this currently or would want to do this. I think it would be really cool, and it seems like a niche situation that would maybe be profitable and helpful to people who are trying to finish their collections. Yeah, that's kind of like the musings and my thoughts for today based on the video I watched yesterday. Like I said, I'll link it in the description. And yeah, this is kind of what I do. I think about business opportunities and different niches and different ways that I could try and run my business to make money, and different holes in the markets or problems that could be solved. I feel like I'm always trying to think of different aspects of things that I could do, and hopefully I'll be able to settle on one that I like, and hopefully it will be marketable and useful, and I'll be able to grow a business once I can get back into it, once the basement is finished. But I kind of want to use YouTube as like a sounding board of, these are all the ideas that I'm having. Let me know which ones are good or not, or which ones you like, or give me feedback and kind of help me form my business plan and ideas for my business into something that's cohesive. You know, because this idea kind of plays along with the one that I talked about in the last video of, you know, people requesting specific cards, and I can either sell them to them or find them for them. You know, it kind of plays into that, you know, like, oh, you're requesting specific cards. Are you requesting them in English or in all languages? You know, like, anyway, kind of all can feed into each other maybe and be part of it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to do some more research. Let me know in the comments below if you care about language collecting for specific species or not, or if you master set a specific set in multiple languages, or just let me know what you do. If you like different language cards, if you think they're weird, hard to read. Another thing that they talked about in the video is it's hard to tell between languages if you don't speak them. You know, like they all kind of look the same. If they're not English, it's like there's just text on here that I can't read. And so I feel like that would be like a struggle of like figuring out how to tell the different languages apart and how to like sort them and store them. Another thing is how I would sell them, because like TCG Player does English, it does Japanese, but not very well. eBay, you can sell whatever, so that'd probably be a good avenue to sell things on. Card Trader is the one that I actually bought those cards from, that guy in Switzerland. Sorry, I don't remember his name. Sorry. Again, I'll have his channel linked so you can watch him. He's really cool. I've really enjoyed his videos. But Card Trader is what I use to buy his stuff, because Card Trader is cool. It's kind of like TCG Player Direct, where when somebody buys a card, TCG Player sends them the card, and then they send an invoice to the sellers once a week, and then they send the cards that have sold to TCG Player to restock. So it's kind of similar. There's Card Trader Zero, where it's a similar thing where you order from different sellers, you order cards that you want, and they like source them from the different sellers on their platform, and they send you the cards, and then they send a similar thing where they send an invoice to the different sellers, and then they send their cards to the hubs or whatever. And the other thing that's cool is they have different hubs, so you can order from somebody in Switzerland, for example, and he packs up his cards and sends them to their hub, which is, I think, is in Italy. And then after a while, they send all the packages that have gone to Italy that are going to the United States over to the United States hub, wherever it is. And then from there, then they'll send them out to the different sellers. And so it makes it so that you can buy things from foreign sellers for less money because of like the tariffs and stuff. They can pack your things all together and then ship them all at once, and so it's cheaper. So it's a cool system. You should look into it if you're interested. Card Trader. But that was one avenue I was thinking about potentially being able to sell on, and then also, you know, like having my own website. That way I can list whatever I want and have different categories and filters of, oh, you want to filter by language or by rarity or species or set, or, you know, all the different things, and make it very clear, you know, oh, this is a Spanish version of this card or a French version of this card. So yeah, that's my thoughts for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.